come up with the words. Is that how it always works with you? Does the music come first and then the words?
Yeah, the melody always comes first. I always have melodies going through my head, and then, you know, yeah, there's just like a certain rhythm to them, and certain words seem to fit really well in there.
So you always have melodies going in your head. Do these include melodies of published songs that we hear on the radio or
Yes.
on iTunes?
Yeah.
And then you just sort of naturally start writing your own lyrics to go with it?
No, I mean, you know, I've always loved listening to music, and, you know, I was one of those kids that I would like write down lyrics to my favorite songs and memorize them for no particular reason. But yeah, so I'll just make up my own melodies and fit my own words in.
Now, you said you started writing lyrics when you were a kid.
Kind of.
What age did you start writing lyrics?
Actually, when, you know, I had a couple times off and on, probably like 10 or 11, that my sister and I would always do like shows for the family. And so I was always too embarrassed to actually perform them. But, you know, we would come up with things, and I'd try to teach her songs, and, you know, she'd mess up a melody part, and then we'd go back and forth. And
So she's younger than you.
yeah, she's a couple years younger.
And so the two of you would put together a little show.
Yeah.
And it would include a song that you, or the lyrics that you
Every once in a while, usually, to be honest, usually it was my sister that would come to me. She was always like the theatrical one and the one who wanted to be on stage. And so she would come to me with a great idea. I think we wrote an anti-drug song once.
But then you were too shy to perform these things.
Yeah, so I would write them and make her go sing them.
I just have a question about your parents. I mean, in a way, it's a little unusual for kids to go put shows together for their parents.
I realize that now. Yeah.
Tell me something about mother and dad.
Yeah, so my background's kind of different, I guess. My on, you know, my dad's side, when I was little, I had a very kind of classical music all the time. My grandmother was an opera singer. There was, you know, crazy stuff there. And then on my mom's side, it was very much like show tunes and old movies. And so, you know, we grew up singing every word to the Music Man and stuff. And yeah.
Okay, so you had some parents and grandparents that helped, you know, provide you some windows and.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go, besides, well, let's see, your college, your fundamental college, I think you're a school teacher, is that right?
Yeah, I teach right now, yeah.
Is that what you went to school to be a teacher?
No, I kind of fell into teaching a little bit. I was an art major, an art and Spanish, and poli-sci minor in college, and then as soon as I graduated, I went, what am I going to do? And I knew that I really loved kids. I loved writing, and so that was a natural fit.
Okay, I was just thinking about your art education, and I was thinking about your songwriting. I think you said when you write a song, you don't have a plan. You don't have it all, or an outline in your head of where it's going.
Yeah.
When you were making art, let's say painting, I'm sure you probably painted.
Sculpture.
Sculpture. When you were making a sculpture, did you have a plan or somewhat of a rough image in your mind of what you were going to do?
No.
It's always jumping in.
Yeah.
And letting.
I've frustrated a lot of people. Yeah.
So you let the play talk to you, and you let the words, the lyrics, the music talk to you, and it sort of just develops that way.
Yeah.
And I missed the point about how you got into school, being a school teacher.
I think genuinely I kind of looked around and I said, what am I going to do with my life? And you know, I didn't see myself being able to fully commit to being an artist and, you know, doing sculpture. And you know, there were some opportunities through my university that came up, and so.
All right. I'd like to, songwriting.
Yes.
How many songs In
Do
your
I?
long life, in your long career as a songwriter, how many have you written?
I started writing about a year ago, really. I've got about 10, probably 10 to 15, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 year experience. I mean, often some
Yeah.
people say it takes 5 hard years to gain any competence. And I think it's amazing that how well you perform motivated Jim Bruno, the man who teaches basically all of Foothill College's songwriting classes,
Yeah, he's great.
to identify you as somebody who has talent and to get on the phone and ask me to bring you on there.
Yeah, that was really nice of him.
Of the 10 songs, can you, I know if you made a sculpture, you could classify them in your mind, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably, looking back, see the growth, okay?
Yeah.
Can you do that with the 10 songs? I mean, I'm not going to ask you to do it necessarily, but can you?
I go back and forth because sometimes sometimes I look at them and I think, like, wow, man, that was so bad. And then I revisit them. I think for the last class assignment, I took like the first song that I started writing, last year, sort of alone in my room, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And I fixed it. And so I think that there's a lot of, I think I oftentimes like never really feel like something's totally finished. Like everything's always a work in progress. And so I keep drawing on things that I've learned, but going back and filling the holes from earlier things.
Okay, when you were making the sculptures, were you making things that were very realistic? No, okay.
No.
They were abstract,
Very abstract.
vague, or left to our imagination, or they were representation of something, but yet not realistic, okay? Do you do the same with the songs?
Yes, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, I see that in your songs, your song, and I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And when you're writing, and by the way, I think I paint.
Yes. Yes,
And
I've seen your paintings.
I sometimes start with the realistic, and then I deliberately make it confusing, ambiguous, and go off and try to. Do you make the conscious effort to do that?
No, I think I'm much more emotion driven than, in terms of art, I guess. In terms of like message, I think that like I want people to listen to my music and feel something, and I want people to, look at the art that I would do and feel something, but not necessarily walk away thinking something.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay, now I want to say I felt something, but I also, and maybe it's my nature. I mean, I had to analyze it, and I like the intellectualness of things.
Yeah.
And I just also want to say, right, it's not my show really, but whenever I make a painting, there's always an intellectual thing there.
Mm-hmm.
But it works. It must work on a feeling basis. Okay, so
Yeah.